Welcome. I guess there should be like a little bit of a reverb. Hold on. Welcome. Welcome today, citizens. Welcome, everyone, from far and from wide. Welcome to the Grand Cathedral. I hope that you are all well today, and that you have been well behaved. However, I know that even if one is to be well behaved, even if you have done your best, sins have been committed in the past, in the present, and perhaps in the future. Of many sins. I myself am not free from sin. Sin affects us all, from young to old. Forgive me, Pillow, for I have sinned. Well, I am not the one that will be doing the forgiving today. This forgiveness will not come from me, but rather from you, my counsel. You, my counsel, will be the deciders of who is forgiven and who is not forgiven. You are the judges. You are the judges. And after every confession, you will decide whether or not they are to be forgiven. We will read these anonymous confessions. We will discuss them. And the verdict will not be chosen by I, but rather by you. There were many confessions. Many confessions in which have scarred me greatly. Many which use terms that I did not understand. Many in which I fear for the safety of those. Many that confused me. Many that made me sad. A few that made me happy. But most importantly, it was rare that there was one that I thought could not be forgiven. As counsel, don't you think everyone deserves some forgiveness? Doesn't everyone deserve to be considered for forgiveness, counsel? What do you think? Maybe no. Depends. My. Many in the council are not feeling so forgiving today. Sinners, I hope the best for you. I hope the best for you today, sinners. We'll see. I suppose that we will see. Oh, but don't go too hard on them, okay? Remember, all these sinners are real people too. No, whereas the other times that we did confessions, I feel as though the confessions were a bit more absurd. I noticed this time around that a lot of confessions were back from when the sinners were children or teenagers. There was not as many current day ones, but it seems that many sinners have been reconciling on the past. I don't know if did I use that term correctly? Reconciling. Reconciling the horrors of childhood. Yes, the horrors of childhood. Oh no. But do not worry. I hope by announcing your sins here, that there will be comfort, and we can bring you forgiveness, and you will not be so afraid any longer. No, no. So, I will take a sip of my water in preparation, and then we will read our first sin. No, it is not holy water. It is store-brand water. Ah! No, it is not Dasani. The Grand Cathedral does not allow Dasani within the perimeters. The perimeters of the cathedral do not allow for Dasani water. As we believe, the flavor of Dasani is quite odd. Yes, it was fetched from the water store. The water store. Today, we have about 18 confessions. Most of them are mostly short, but grave. Well then, Council, I ask of you, are you ready? Are you, my council, ready to judge thou sin? Ready? Okay. I mean, yes. Now then. Our first confession is one not so grave, but perhaps a bit lighthearted. As don't we want to start with a laugh? I ate my dog's jerky in front of her. She barked at me, but it was delicious. Sinner, you are telling me that you ate a dog treat. Is that what I am hearing? Do I hear this correctly, Sinner? You are eating dog food. Why? Oh my! Already the first confession, and the judges, the council, is demanding unforgiveness. Can we have context? This is all that the sinner has delivered to us. They eat the dog's jerky. They eat dog jerky. I'm imagining that it's one of those like treats that you get from like Petco. That sounds disgusting. So, alongside each of these, the council will be deciding whether or not you are to be forgiven. And there will be a poll. And I am making this poll right now. I think I messed it up. Oh, I messed it up, hold on. One moment. There we go. Is this sinner to be forgiven for eating their dog's jerky? And as we can see, this dog is very clearly upset. The dog barked in retaliation, perhaps confused to see that their owner was eating their jerky. Woof, the dog said. But are they to be forgiven for consuming a food not meant for human consumption? Betraying the man's best friend? Do you think they are to be forgiven? And the council speaks, and the answer is no. By 61% of the council, it has been decided that you are not forgiven for eating the treat of man's best friend. I advise that you no longer consume dog food. I advise that you no longer do that. No longer eat dog food, okay? No. Straight to the nightmare world. No, really? Council? Are you saying that the sin is so atrocious that it is deserving of death? I am not sure that this is a sin worthy of such. I believe that as long as you, sinner, if you are listening, no longer consume dog food, that perhaps one day you can be forgiven. Now then, my beautiful council, let us move to the next of our confessions. Ahem. Despite being lactose intolerant, as a wee lass in elementary school, I was absolutely addicted to milk and loved it. I got teased a lot because I'd often be gassy, and some kids were honestly really mean about it. But I sort of embraced the grossness of my poopy fart nature for a while. I massively toned down the stinky humor around 4th and 5th grade. But weirdly, I've had a sort of resurgence in my love for the absurd humor. There's something about the disgusting reactions I get from being a feral farting goblin woman that fills me with immense joy. It may be pure evil of me, but it's what I enjoy, sorry. Oh. Wow. Your confession has left me at a little bit of a loss. I feel a little bit at a loss at your strange confession, though we here at the Grand Cathedral accept all forms of confessions, and thus I will not reject this, though it is not up to me whether or not you are to be forgiven. I believe that everyone is entitled to their own form of entertainment. If you believe that, if you enjoy the humor of as being a quote feral farting goblin woman, then who am I to tell you that it is not hilarious? However, you should perhaps consider the consequences of your action. Consider the fact that most people might not want to smell such things. I'm also a little bit concerned at the way that you described it as poopy fart. I hope that it is only gas coming out whenever you perform these rituals, as otherwise I would perhaps be even more concerned. This is very shocking. Very shocking indeed. So council, let me read your thoughts. There has to be some nasty stains, exactly. It's just, no, it's not just... Even saying the word stains my mouth. No, I am not lactose intolerant, so I suppose that I cannot relate and understand where they are coming from. I just don't know how to feel. I understand. I don't understand. I don't know how to feel either. Biological warfare. It seems a few members of the council believe that you are committing biological warfare. Your sin is being taken very seriously by some, whereas others feel a little bit more lenient about what you have done. So, the votes are in. On the council, is rather tied. You are very close to being forgiven, but a majority of the council, at 54%, have voted no. You are not forgiven for, I quote, being a feral farting goblin woman. 54% of the council has decided that you are not forgiven for such demonic behavior. Perhaps one day you might be forgiven if you consider, you know, I think it's telling that you say there's something about the disgusted reactions that fills me with immense joy. It seems as though you just enjoy torturing these people. Is that it? Do you just enjoy torturing them? Good heavens. But you are not forgiven today. I apologize. And I look forward to your journey to forgiveness. Now then, are you ready, council? For the third confession. Already two in and we've only had no's. I wonder if anyone today will deserve your forgiveness. Ready? Well then, my council. Confession number 3. Ahem. There was one time I woke up in the middle of the night, and the intrusive thought told me to pee in the kitchen trash can, and I listened. I suppose that it is a trash can? So it's going to be disposed of anyways, however, it depends on if you live with someone else, or if you, if you live with someone else, but also, I mean, it's gonna just pull up at the bottom. Whenever you want to take that out, it's just gonna be pulled at the bottom. Not mine, but it happens, man. The voices are loud and hard to resist, especially when sleepy. Pardon? Council? Are you telling me that this is common behavior? Council? Are you often told to urinate in the kitchen trash can? No. Council. To whoever it is out there who has peed in the kitchen trash can. I suppose that if you live alone, and the liquid at the bottom is yours to handle, then there isn't as much guilt. But if you are living with someone, then they will wake up and have to smell that. And also have to be the one to take it out. They've probably done worse. We do not want to assume such things. We don't want to assume the worst from people now. Who hasn't? I haven't. Who has? Who does this? Who does this? Why, the trash can and not the sink? What? You're not peeing in the sink, are you? You're not peeing in the sink, are you? I mean, that's where the dishes go! The dishes go... We are... Council! What are you saying to me right now? What are you saying right now, Council? Council, what are you doing? Council! Goodness. Well, the votes are in for this confession. The council has decided whether or not you shall be forgiven for your sin of urinating within the trash can. And the council says, with 57%, that no, you are not forgiven for what you have done. Oh my gosh. I must ask, council, you aren't actually going in the sink, are you? No? Why are you stuttering? Why are you hesitating? Perhaps... Oh God. Council! Do not do such things! Council. Well, I suppose as long as you live alone. But remember that you are never alone. As Pillow is always with you. Now then, it is time to move on to our next confession. Every night my friend, not me, will listen to a Pillow ASMR. Often which my friend, not me, will be invited to or even specifically told to go to sleep. Many times, every time, my friend, not me, won't go to sleep and instead listen to another Pillow ASMR. I'm very sorry. I mean, my friend is very sorry for not following your commandments. But the next video is always too tempting. Can he possibly be forgiven? That is quite the tricky one. Although you are indeed your own person, and you did not have to listen to the commands of others. You follow your own path, your own world. And if you want to listen to another Pillow ASMR, and that is up to you. However, if your friend is being told to go to sleep while having their head peacefully laid within the lap of a girl, are you not to listen? Are you not to listen, council? If I am instructing you to go to sleep, aren't you to go to sleep, council? Do you hear me? Go to sleep now! Fall asleep right now! Fall asleep right now! sleepy. I mean... Goodness, Council. Now wake up. You have a vote to do. Wakey, Council. Council, is a sinner to be forgiven for not falling asleep when clearly instructed to do so, and instead listening to more ASMR? Now, it is up to you to decide. Are they to be of their own will, to continue on, to listen to 10, maybe 50 ASMRs in one sitting? Or are they to fall asleep when told? This is up to you, Council. If you vote yes, then they can live with themselves. If you vote no, then they will cry themselves to sleep every night. This is important, Council. Choose wisely. I sense it. The council has finished voting. And the results are... our first yes! A resounding yes of 73%! Sinner, you are forgiven. Or rather, your friend is forgiven. Woohoo! Congratulations. You can continue on without any sort of worry or guilt or anything. You can continue on, listening to 10, 20, 100 ASMRs without falling asleep. Congratulations. Congratulations, your friend is forgiven. Now, I hope that you had permission from your friend. Otherwise, it was very rude of you to ask on their behalf. I'm gonna drink water, okay? Mama. Now then, Council. It is time for confession number 5. Ahem. I like to pat and pet my little cat. Wait. I like to pat and pet my little cat because she is so cute, and I just want to fluff her fur. And when she's big stretch, I touch the tumpus, and she grabbed my hand with all her paws. I know she doesn't like it. I'm sinful, sorry. In summary, I have sinned and will do it again. A resentful sinner. Wait, resentful. Relentless. A relentless sinner. Regardless of knowing that your furball baby does not want to be tum rubbed. Furball baby say no tum rub. And you say yes, tum rub. You continue forth. Do you understand? Unforgivable. But Kitty, oh, the council is arguing. The cat was a victim of harassment. I respect the honesty, no mercy. Oh goodness. This might be the most I've ever seen the council uncivil. Gosh, why am I not remembering words? My sin is I am not remembering any words. This is the most that I've seen the council at unrest, at disagreement. Unforgivable justice for the cat. Oh my goodness. They are forgiven for the Tumpus's sacrifice. Oh my goodness. But the poor kitty wants its Tumpus left alone. I forgive a fellow pillow. Council! Oh goodness, council! It brings a tear to my eye. The council is at war. Every single council member is shouting and yelling at each other. No one can decide whether or not this sinner is to be forgiven for their sin of touching the kitty Tumpus. Oh! There is chaos within the council. Council, you must come together and decide whether or not you forgive this sinner for touching the cat tummy without permission. You must come together, council. Well then, council, let me see what you have voted upon. My word! This might be the closest that we've ever had. It would seem. Now with a 52% yes, you, sinner, have been forgiven for touching the Tumpus of the kitty cat. 42% of the council does not forgive you, the 52% do, and have allowed you forgiveness. Even though you promise that you will do it again. But I suppose many of the council members can relate to your deep, deep desire to touch the tummy of the kitty cat. And admittedly, my council, I am also guilty of this sin. Yes, me. I sit there, I flip my cat's seaweed over, and I buried my face in her tummy. I have committed a grave sin, for I am only human, and cat tummy so sacred. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You forgive me. If it makes you feel better. If it makes you feel better, council. Seaweed does not seem to mind. She lets me do it and does not grab or growl at me. Can I get a poll for this too? Fine. I will let you decide whether I am forgiven. Council! Council, please forgive me. Please forgive me for rolling seaweed over and burying my face in her tummy. I mean, if it wasn't safe, I wouldn't do it, right? If she were to attack me, then I would not put my face near her tum-tum. But she just lays there and lets me do it. She is a compliant cat. One that is seemingly okay with tum-tum. I will end this vote earlier than usual just so we can move on. But it seems that the council was generous. A kind council, and has given me forgiveness. Thank you, council. Ari Pilto. Ari Pilto, council. Now then, let us move on to confession number 6. Another pet one. Mm. My 15-year-old dog recently went deaf a few months ago, and after I spent a lot of time with her at home, I learned how to communicate things to her, such as when I wanted her to follow me, using different hand gestures, sort of like a sign language. My family has asked me to teach them these signs, but I refuse to because I feel like it's a special connection I have with her after she's been with me for most of my life. Am I forgiven for keeping this secret? Or should I repent and teach everybody the sign I used to speak to her? Oh. Counsel. This is a bit more of a complicated one, and I would love to see your genuine thoughts on this one, as it's one that I understand both sides from, and I think that the sinner would greatly appreciate your expertise. Because on one hand, I understand you have a close spiritual bond with this puppy, so much so that you have a sign language to communicate with one another. But on the other hand, your dog belongs to your family as well, don't they? Even if you've been with her for most of your life, or she's been with you for most of your life, has she not been with your family too? But it seems the council is praising your gatekeeping. I will create the poll now, council, but I am listening to your advice. I do believe, however, that your family should be able to learn or have signals with the dog as well, no? On their own? If you're around the dog quite frequently, of course it's going to understand you. But if your family is around the dog a lot as well, shouldn't they not be able to also teach it new hand signals? Family could put in the time and work with the dog themselves. They're being lazy, in my opinion. Oh, heavens! I forgive you, but you have a change of heart. I forgive, but teaching the other family members would be a nice gesture. I think so, too. I think that it would be a kind gesture for you to teach your family members the hand signals. And I don't think that it would worsen the bond with the dog at all. The dog learned them from you because the dog loves you most of all. The dog appreciates and loves you. And you're around the dog a lot, so it's learned your hand gestures, right? But I do think that it'd be kind and generous of you to teach your family these gestures as well, as I'm sure they have an emotional attachment to the dog just as you do. And I do not believe they would be asking if they did not care, no? Give them the basic fundamentals first to see how dedicated they are. Interesting. Interesting. If it was out of love, and there is still a path to open to everyone to be happy, it's not too late to teach them. That is true. Of my opinion, sinner, I think that it'd be most kind to teach this to your family. And teaching it to them will not ruin any sort of bond that you have with your pupper. Your pupper will still love and favor you, I am sure. But the council has voted. And the council says that you are forgiven. I think that it is understandable how you feel. And we also do not know if the relationship your family has with your dog. For all we know, they could dislike your pupper. Or not treat your pupper well, and you just don't want to get them to feel as though they are also close to the pupper. But if your family has always been kind to your pupper, and around your pupper as well, I believe that they deserve to know how to communicate with pupper. Oh, 3 to 3s on yes and no's. And yes, the 72% is quite a large margin of forgiveness. Is that the biggest forgiveness we've gotten so far? very large forgiveness. For all we know, OP cannot treat the dog well. I doubt it. I think it would have been difficult to communicate with the dog in such a way that the dog did not trust their owner. Yes. But I believe personally that you should tell them. But I will not resent you if you decide not to, as I understand where you are coming from. Now then, my counsel. Are you ready to continue? Yes. Well then, let us move on to confession number 7. When I first got my phone, I took my brother's old phone number and he got a new one. One day, I got a text from his boss who thought that was still his brother's number. One day, I received a text from his boss who thought this was still my brother's number, and he asked my brother to come into work since someone called out. He did deliver it to a local burger place. I was 12 at the time and just ignored it, and turned out my brother got fired over that. I got really scared and never came clean. Is it forgivable I kept my mouth shut all these years later? Or should I have fessed up? Well, first of all, I think it is rather ridiculous that his boss fired him over such a thing. I mean, it is rather ridiculous that his boss fired him over such a thing. And I'm sure that your brother had told the boss that he had a new phone number. The boss seemed a bit ridiculous for their actions. However, it depends on if your brother wanted a new job, I suppose. But I do think that after all these years, if you told your brother might laugh about it now. It might say, ha 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 ha, what a hilarious thing that happened. Getting fired over phone number confusion is a bit ridiculous for sure. It makes me wonder if your brother was already having issues at work. Because I highly doubt that the boss would just be like, hey, you got a new phone number and you didn't tell me, I'm gonna fire you. It almost sounds to me as though his boss was already looking for a reason to fire him. However, the question here for forgiveness is not whether or not it is his fault for his brother getting fired, but rather if they are bad for not having told their brother that this happened. The situation is a little bit confusing. However, I do think that the sinner should be forgiven. I understand how scary it can feel if you are so young and you feel as though it is your fault that your brother has lost their job. Even after all these years, you can feel as though you've ruined their life, or they would never forgive you. However, sinner, I am certain that your brother forgives you. And sinners, counsel, do you forgive them? Do you think they should fess up? Is their sin forgiven? Should they tell their brother? This is when they're a child, so it's forgivable, I agree. Most sins that were committed when you're a child are forgivable. At this point, it's a forgiven. There was one who's confessed clearly his remorse of the issues. At 12, I wouldn't expect a full understanding of the importance of work stuff, that it only brings money. Yes. I still think that's... Perhaps you should tell your brother, though. Inform your brother. And I believe that you two could have a good laugh over it. So, my counsel, what have you voted? Is this youngin' sinner to be forgiven? And the answer from the council is yes, with a resounding 79%. Sinner, congratulations. After all of this time, you are forgiven. However, I do advise that you go and tell your brother about what happened. I don't think your brother will be mad. Now then, on to our next confession. I don't remember this at all, but my parents told me that as a child, I once wanted a candy bar at a grocery store cash register. My mom said no, and I immediately began cowering and shouting, "Do not beat me, please do not beat me," at the top of my lungs. Everyone around us looked at my parents like they were scum as my parents attempted to slink out of the store accompanied by their screaming child. They didn't say it, but I don't think I got the candy bar. Incidentally, I was never actually beaten. Oh my gosh! What is this? This is terrible! Brilliant child, it is not brilliant! It is not brilliant! Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Horrible. Isn't that funny? I can only imagine how terrified your parents were. That their child was one making a scene, but also making everyone around you think that they were beating. That's terrible. The council, they were but a child. They can be forgiven. I feel as though for some of these that were past memories of being a child, they can also see it as whether or not if they were still a child and asking this. But of course you can be forgiven now that you're older. But if you were a child, this would be hard to forgive. I think if I was your parent, I'd be terrified to take you anywhere. If he thinks he can do that, then that's one spoiled brat. It is quite surprising. I wonder how old you were to have such an idea. I never did that when I was young. Never did I either. I like to believe that most people do not do such things. It is a very serious accusation, but I believe when you're younger, you don't comprehend how serious it is. Elytria, welcome to the council! Oh, I did that yesterday. I hope not. Not forgiven. Oh. Them being a child and older now is saving this one. Yes, it is. I have to wonder if they're like 8 or 7 years old or so. Oh my gosh. It is rather messed up, I agree. I wonder where they got such an idea to do such a thing over a candy bar. And I hope that they certainly were not given it, as if it had just encouraged its behavior. Now then, council, your votes are in. Are they forgiven for what they have done? Oh, this one is rather neck and neck. Goodness. Sinner, by a very, very, very close 51% no. Your sin is not forgiven. Your sin is not forgiven. I do wonder how your parents recount this story to you. Are they like, you did this crazy thing and were so mad at you? Or do they laugh about it? I almost doubt that they laugh. As a parent, this sounds a little bit traumatizing, to be honest. 51 versus 47, I don't know. The voting system appears to be a little bit weirdly broken at the moment. We keep missing percentages. But sinner, you are not forgiven for yelling, "Please don't beat me," as your parents did not buy you a chocolate bar. You are not forgiven. No, not forgiven. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Now then, to our next confession. Confession number 9. We're halfway there. When I was in elementary school, I was the one responsible for making the Team Rocket of Pokemon cards in my school. Which means, yes, I did steal cards from kids. But I did it from kids who kept showing them off and were being real mean about it. Like, "Oh yes, look at my cool cards. I got them from my parents, and be jealous, peasants." They started with something that felt unforgivable by saying that they stole from other kids. But then they redeemed themselves a little by saying it was from braggers. Now then, it's a bit of a difficult one, because on one hand, this is a situation of the poor taking to give back. But no, they do not say that they give back. This is they just steal it. Do you think that they were stealing these cards to keep for themselves? And counsel, is sinning justified? Sorry, is stealing justified? Regardless of if they were Team Rocket and taking from those that were bragging, was it right for them to steal? If you got a really cool card, I think sharing it with others is cool. And you can brag a bit. Stealing them is too far. Steal from the rich, give to myself. If it's funny, yeah. I don't know. I'm imagining those poor children opening up their Pokemon case and realizing that their prized Charizard is missing. That it was stolen. Can you imagine their tears? The way that they cry. Oh, my favorite card. My special card. It's stolen, it's gone. Can you imagine the pain? They have hurt others because they felt they were justified to steal. Won't someone think of the 1%? Won't someone think of the 1%? Imagine stealing fellow Zekrom and Incarno. I'd be so mad. It's misplaced. And yes, they were still children. Stealing the cards is lame. They should have gone to the source and stolen the parents. Oh. I mean, if you do steal the parents that provided the cool cards, then I suppose it is a workaround. But council, you have voted. Is this child forgiven for stealing cards? The answer will surprise you. The council has decided with 63% yes that you are forgiven for being the Team Rocket of your school and stealing Pokemon cards from braggers. The council has decided that you are forgiven for what you have done. Go on now, explore the world guilt-free. Feel less guilt for what you have done. 3 to 4. Oh. Team Rocket is now blasting off today. You're a thief, but at least you're happy. But as a thief, you have made others sad. I never got to really experience Pokemon cards at school, as they weren't really something that kids did where I was. But I would have been sad if someone stole a Pokemon card of mine. But I also would have been sad if I had no good cards to show off. Now then, to our next confession. Confession number 10. My parents have been pushing me to get a master's degree, so I applied to a prestigious university. I got the acceptance email 2 weeks ago, but I lied to my parents and said it hasn't arrived yet. I'm really scared that I wouldn't be able to handle graduate studies and work at the same time. I believe that this is a real struggle that many go through as well. This is not a struggle that you are alone on. Interesting. Especially if you say that you also have to work at the same times. Doing graduate studies, working. But yet again, your parents have been pushing you to do this. And you finally got accepted. So do you tell them? Or no? It's difficult, isn't it? Because if you don't tell them, there's always a chance that they'll find out in the future. Or they'll continue to push you to go to another one. And I imagine that even though you've told them that it would stress you out, that they still insist. This is something you have to work through. This is a life-altering decision and should be solely yours to make. If you wish to back out, back out. If it's not something you want, then I guess it's fine. Do not do stuff for others. It is your future. I think I agree with the council. And although I am not able to give you life advice, as I am dead and a dream entity, I too was pressured quite a lot to apply to some very big colleges. And every time I thought about how much work I'd have to put into it, how stressful it'd be, how just terrible it'd be, I would cry and cry even after I applied to so many. And I too got acceptance letters. However, I didn't do it. And I'm happy that I did not. However, it is different for everyone. But if you truly feel as though this is something that you don't want to do, if you will not be happy, if you feel as though it'll destroy you, then I think it's best to do what would make you happy. I would personally tell them and explain the difficulties. They probably understand. The best path to take is to tell them, is to be fully upfront with them and say, hey, I don't think I can do this, but I did get accepted. But I understand that depending on how your parents are, once you tell them that you've been accepted, there's probably no going back. It is quite difficult, no. It is quite difficult. I want the best for you. Make your decision first, in my opinion, then tell your parents that you've decided. Whatever you chose to do, go into it 100% and own it. I agree. I think that's great. Make your decision first before you tell them. I think that is wonderful advice. Perhaps you could apply for some scholarships so you don't have to work so many hours while taking classes. That is a question too. Because you mentioned part of the reason you don't want to go is because you also are working. I would ask yourself, if you didn't have to work, would you still not want to go? But the council has decided. Are you forgiven for not having told your parents? And the answer, of course, is the biggest yes that we have received. with 89% saying yes, you deserve to be forgiven. It is a stressful situation, and no one should hold you accountable and say that you are not to be forgiven. I understand, as it'd be hard for any of us to tell our parents such. The council has to forgiven you. It was an easy decision. It was. It was quite easy. But maybe, perhaps, our next confession might be a little bit more difficult. Maybe. Who knows? Our next confession. Seeing the many types of PillowDears we've seen, and all the beautiful outfits and Mimi mode versions, I always thought about what PillowDear would look like as a fox girl. But I am not imaginative. While I love all of PillowDear, I have a special fondness for fox girls, and it gave me a really easy excuse to show her to my brothers. I feel guilty though, for imagining this because I love Pillow in any form, and wouldn't want her to feel like she should do things just to appease to other people. Pillow, is it forgiveness, or should I get a public lashing for— oh my gosh! We do not do lashings here. Good heavens, no! Should I get a public lashing for such insolence? Personally, I can't answer this since the church has stated the self-flagellation is not— oh my gosh! Regardless of the very odd way that you have ended this, I will remind you that I am a dream entity. I can take almost any form. I could be a dog. I could be a fox. I could be a lamp. I could be a frying pan. This is not something that is to be sinned. As when I appear in your dreams at night, I will be a fox. Trust. But I do not believe that this one needs to be voted on. There is no sin truly here. Woof woof, yip 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 yip. She could be Shrek, I suppose I could. But we do not do such things. Violence, no. Well then, let us move on to our next one. I covered my friend's house in water from over 200 blocks up in Minecraft, and it took hours for the water to actually clear up, and I flooded the inside. Goodness! This is horrific! This is a sin that is so— yeah, we didn't need a vote on the other one. The other one didn't need a vote. Besides that, we're moving to the next one. Then this next one, goodness gracious! This is unforgivable! Sinner, I'm sorry to say, as you know, that I try my best to forgive everyone. I try to see the goodness in all. But this is harsh. To grieve your own friend in Minecraft. To drown their house. To fill it with water. I need a moment. This is just terrible. This is just terrible. Your own friend. Oh. Your own friend. I suppose it's one thing to drop water from above, but to fill it with water too. Your friend trusted you, and you grieved them. I am not sure the council will forgive such madness. Sinner, until you have learned your ways, until you vow to never grieve another soul, I believe this is something that you'll always have to live with. A shame, a burden that will always be yours. And I ask of you, for the sake of your friends in the future, to never do such things again, as you may not be accepted into the Grand Cathedral's church. Council, what dost thou say? This was expected. 75% of the council says no. You are not forgiven for your griefing activities. For griefing your friend. The ultimate betrayal. The most evil thing one could possibly do. I will only forgive you. Or I suppose the council will only forgive you. If you sign a legal document swearing that you will never grief another player again. Ugh. Bad sinner. Bad. Bad sinner. Bad, bad, bad. Bad sinner. No death would make up for your sin. Could you imagine? 200 blocks up? Terrible. Terrible. Bad. Your friend must have been so disappointed. I will not do this to someone. I would never grieve. Yes, Pillows! My counsel! Let all of your anger out. Let all of your anger out. Let it all out before it clouds your judgment of the next sin. Yell! Punch the wall! Yell, my sinner! My counsel! Yell, my counsel! Let it all out! Get all of it out before it affects your next vote. Yes! Release your anger! Okay, now, take a deep breath with me. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. All better now. Good, good. Now, with your mind cleared, we can look into our next confession. I was at work the other day, and one of my bosses came up to me and made small talk. Now, this particular boss is an absolute favorite of mine. However, he came up to me to make small talk before assigning me with twice the amount of work that I had already done to be done in 1 hour. Pillow, I am not about that life. So, I did what anybody probably wouldn't, and lied to him. I told him I was very tired because I got up at 4:30 to deal with solicitors of the religious variety. I ended only doing some of it because of this, but that isn't even the worst part. No. My coworker got put on all the rest of it. I confessed to my sins. Lying. Putting all of this work on a coworker. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Betrayal. But also, don't we understand, Council? If you were working if you already had in mind a certain amount of work, and I came up to you and I said, "Hey, you know this hour's worth of work you gotta do? Well, now do 2 hours." Would you not want to do it? Wouldn't you be like, "No way, Jose. I definitely don't want to do something like that"? Wouldn't you not want to do such a thing? Counsel, certainly. If it was me, no. If it's your boss. Boss sucks for that. It does suck that the boss did such a thing. To give you even more work. But payday. The thing is that you probably wouldn't get more pay out of it. As long as it's on your hours, you're still being paid hourly. Probably not more money for more work. But lying and causing others suffering instead. That is true. But did they know that this work would be put on a coworker? I suppose if you were to deduct and think about it, then you would know that this would be put on your coworker. As a person who got put on work for others, this is not forgivable. Oh, goodness! Pillow, this is my counsel. Do you forgive this sinner for lying to their boss and consequently having another coworker do all the work? Do you forgive them? Counsel! Oh, did they say they did half of it? Well, they said they only did some of this. They did some of it. But we don't know how much some is. We don't know how much some is. No, they did not say they did half. I forgive them for lying but not really being dumped on another coworker exactly. This is tricky. But dumping it on another coworker, was it their fault? Many questions. Well then, counsel. At the end, it is decided by vote. And your vote is here. Sinner, it would seem that 65% of the council has voted yes in your favor. Council, you have voted that you forgive this sinner for lying to their boss and getting work pushed onto another coworker. That is the decision that you have reached. Getting out of work inherently means someone else has to take care of it. Exactly. Oh. The boss is the one that dumped it. The question is, why did the boss not do this work? Oh! Just kidding. I understand that there are different roles. But still. I feel quite bad for the coworker. But also, what if the roles were reversed, you know? Life is tricky and full of difficult questions. Now then, my sinners. My counsel, I keep calling you sinners. I mean, I guess we're technically all sinners, but... Now then, my counsel. We have 5 more left. Let me preface by saying I was a really dumb kid in middle school. So in 6th grade, we had elective changes for our 2nd semester. The class of which I was most excited for was PE. You had to bring your own gym clothes in order to participate. So I did just that. Now, any sane person, even at my age, would agree that the max amount of times you should wear any sets of clothes before washing it is like 2. Even that is pushing it. But for some godforsaken reason, I just never took them home to wash. And it's not like my household didn't have a wash or anything. I could easily get them washed every other day in routine. But no, I wore the same pair of gym clothes for the entire semester. The smell eventually got so overwhelmingly abhorrent that I ended up throwing them away at the end of the year. None of the kids nor the gym teacher ever addressed the smell throughout the semester, and I honestly don't know how. Is it just a stupid kid behavior? Do I deserve forgiveness? An entire semester of a sweaty child wearing the same clothes during gym. And I imagine that these clothes are kept in a locker, so they're in a closed, tight box festering. A semester is like 6 months. 6 months of sweating in gym clothes, keeping it in a locker to fester. This sounds disgusting. Oh God, the smell! But yet again, they were a young child. They were just a young child. You know, are they to be forgiven for such a thing? It's a difficult question to answer. No. Disgusting, yes. Did it hurt others? Not really. I don't know if I would say it didn't hurt others. I think that if I was a kid and I had to work out next to them and I had to smell the strong stench of 6 months of sweat, I think I would be a bit hurt. Every middle school boy has an awkward transition period where they have to discover how much they really stink. This is true. Boys in the council, can you confirm if you had an awkward transition about learning how bad you smell? Bro. I pray for the janitor to have to clean that locker afterwards. I almost doubt that they would go and clean them. Unless they were really bad. Oh. They were secretly growing some bad bacteria. There is a guy on our high school volleyball team who refused to wash his jersey and it turned from white to yellow. Ew! But to be fair, they were just some young, poor middle school kid. Perhaps too lazy to simply take home their clothes. And to be fair, do you not only wear them for an hour at a time? 5 days a week. I would say perhaps it did not smell that bad, but also they said it smelled so abhorrent, so... So, my counsel, my wonderful counsel, is this young stinky child forgiven for the abhorrent sins that they have created? And the council, so kindly, with 59% votes yes, they are to be forgiven. The council is kind. So sinner, even though what you did was very stinky and probably burnt the noses of your peers, you were just a young child. A stinky child learning how much you stink. And as long as this is not a sin that you would perform today, you are forgiven. Did anyone else do this? I think I did it once, but not like for a whole semester. Maybe like 2 weeks. When I was like 13. You couldn't stand that, no way, huh? Really? Well, council, let us read our next confession. So I got out at an expo. Tomorrow at an expo, there's also like a meet and greet and stuff there too. I hope to see you there. Our next confession. I like to eat bread, but not just bread. If it's by itself, I think Dr. Pepper to make it easier to chew, and it becomes sweet bread. But it only works with baguettes. Yeah. I think it's understandable to eat bread by itself. But are you dipping it in Dr. Pepper? You're eating a baguette dipped in Dr. Pepper? That sounds really gross. What? Never let this man cook. Is that a sin? I don't know, my counsel. It is for you to decide. I don't know. Because of course, everyone is allowed to eat what they favor. And who are we to tell them what they are to not eat? However, doesn't it seem a little bit sinful to be dipping a baguette in soda and eating it? I'm thinking about whenever bread gets wet. And I'm imagining how disgusting putting wet, soaked, soggy bread in it. Gross! Like wet, soggy, melty bread in your mouth. That sounds really horrid. I don't know if I don't want to think about it anymore. It sounds gross. They never say dip. No, but they're saying if it's by itself, I drink Dr. Pepper to make it easier to chew. So it's in their mouth at the same time. Even if they're not dipping it, it is mixing inside of their mouth. No sin here, just a bit weird, but not sinful. I suppose that it is not sinful, though. Oh goodness, it is incredibly odd. It's I don't drink soda, but it's one of those things that I almost want to try. I don't know. Sweet bread? A bite of bread plus chocolate milk. It sounds like a childhood snack to me. Some people drink soda and eat sandwiches at the same time. I mean, a lot of people have sodas as their primary drink alongside meals, no? We need to consider the crust of the baguette. It is much more tougher than regular loaves of bread in my experience. This is true. Baguettes have more of a tough outer shell exterior. I'm not sure. I imagine that the voting is going to be very... Why am I forgetting the word? Very matched, very equal here. Well then, counsel. Is a sinner forgiven for soda and bread? Oh. It is very head-to-head, with 54% saying yes, and no, 45%. Bread boy, you have been forgiven for your sin. Congratulations! Your peculiar eating habits have been forgiven. Congratulations, bread boy. Congratulations. Now, do any of you want to actually try it? Do you want to try eating soda and bread at the same time? At least it's a baguette and just not like a loaf of like stored bread. I'll do it right now. Okay, Council Member Ronan, tell us how it is. A sin towards the French? Any French people here? Do you believe that this is a sin? some bread and Dr. Pepper. It won't kill us. Yeah, but the texture might be weird. Okay. Now then, Council, on to our next confession. I was trying to show my friends a meme in my liked videos playlist, and after it finished, it immediately played a mommy ASMR that I have saved. Am I cooked? Oh. I imagine that this might be a little bit relatable to some of you council members. Judging by the fact that they asked, I can only assume that before their friends had no idea that they listened to such things. It's only a sin if it wasn't PillowDear. Well, was it? Dude's ashes. I'm not sure. For this one, instead of saying "Are they forgiven?" I will say "Are they?" Council. This friend was showing his friend Council. This sinner was showing his friend a meme, and upon showing the meme, a mommy ASMR came up. Are they cooked? Council? Would you consider this sinner cooked? Make your friends watch it with you. Oh heavens! What a bonding experience that would be. They are boiled beyond cooked. Oh, and that mommy ASMR. I wonder how that would go down with friends that typically do not listen to ASMR being like, yeah, I love mommy ASMR, so what? But yeah, the friend group will never live that down. This poor sinner. They will hop on for a game of Valorant and they will say, oh, did you just finish playing mommy ASMR? You are cooked forever, my sinner. And the council, what is the decision that you have reached? I asked you, council, are they cooked? And 73% of you said yes. I am so sorry, sinner. But you are unfathomably cooked. Unfathomable amounts of base, though. Rest in peace, sinner. Rest in peace, sinner. Your friends are certainly never letting you live that one down. Now then, we have 2 more confessions left. 2 more. Shall we see? I get worried too much about the smallest things when it comes to my art sometimes. Oh. I wanted to include this one as less of a sin and as more of to spread words of encouragement for you. As I want to support artists who are here. And you should know that this is the same for most other artists too. So many people look at their art and every little detail they see, they're like, oh, this is so ugly, everyone is gonna hate it. Or this looks so bad, I shouldn't post it. Or this is the worst thing I've ever made. However, you should know that most people are not looking at those details. They do not see those small things. They do not think that it is terrible. They look at the grand picture of everything together. And they decide, hey, I think this is cute. You know? It is relatable, as I suffer the same thing. Every single time I draw something, I'm like, oh gosh. This is ugly, I hate it, everyone's gonna see it, and everyone's gonna think it's so ugly, and they're gonna think I'm the worst artist ever, and no one is ever gonna like me ever again. But it is not like that. It is not like that, my sinner. So, continue to draw. And believe in yourself. Draw what you enjoy and do not focus so much on the little details. Look at the image as a whole. And remember that people aren't really going to be zooming in on every little thing. They're going to see it from afar. Look at it from afar and ask yourself, are those details as noticeable? Right. So do not fret, sinner. You are okay. When these things happen, one must think you have an ability millions wish they've had. Oh, you have an ability millions wish they had. That's true. So many people wish they could draw. And you can't. But what if they zoom in? What are they gonna do? Oh, this is so bad, I hate it. This is the worst. They're not going to be thinking those things. Believe in yourself, sinner. My art is hella scuffy. Well, I still love it. And others do too, don't they? Be nice to yourself. Now then, we have one more confession. Our last and final confession. One time my brother annoyed me, so I stole his favorite plushie and gate-kept it from him for several days to make him think he had left it in another country. I even then proceeded to act like I had miraculously found it when I was ready to give it back to him, fully knowing that I was keeping his prized possession from him out of pure spite. This is evil! Sinner, this is downright evil. This is pure evil. This is so evil. I tried to show some forgiveness. But your little brother simply annoying you is not reason to take away his comfort item. Average sibling behavior? I have never had a sibling before, so I do not know. But I know that when I was younger, I used to have very special stuffed animals. I would even take them with me to school. I would sleep with them every night, and they were my everything. They were my emotional support. And if someone had taken that away from me, I would have felt dead inside. I actually remember when I was younger that one time I brought my special plushie to school with me, and some of my bullies grabbed it out of my backpack and were holding it away from me, and I refused to give it back, and I just cried for like 10 minutes. But as a younger brother, it's so relatable, but please don't do that. It's very evil. And I'm sure a lot of council members here have had their own special items too. And if they were to think that they left it in another country, you know, you also think that you might have abandoned it. If I thought that I left my plushie in another country, I'd be like, oh my god, I abandoned it. It thinks I hate it. I would have been worried, like, what if someone throws it away and no one's taking care of it? It's very sad. But if it had PillowDear plushie, then absolutely no forgiveness. Would you let your brother take your PillowDear plushie? Would you forgive him? I lost a plushie at school, so I never took any of them to school again. Which is why the pillow plushie was strapped to my body. It's keeping me safe. Mine was a gift from my grandma. I still have it to this day. Aww. And where are your plushies now, Pillow? I usually keep them safe in like the top of a closet, but my super special one I talked about is safe at my grandma's house. So, council, this is the very last vote today. And the results are in. Do you forgive this big brother for taking little brother's plushie and saying that it was in another country? And then one day, miraculous saying, oh, I have it. And the council has decided But the big majority vote of no was 64%. Sinner, what you have done was pure evil. You have caused emotional distress to your younger brother, and you will never be forgiven. Never, ever, ever, ever. Evil. Evil. But that was every confession today. All of our confessions. There were a total of 100 confessions, and I only could do 20. And this was all of them. There was a few confessions that that worried me a little. Pillows, I think some of you might benefit from therapy. My sinners. Some of you, 20, I thought you said 18. Yes, it was 18, my bad. But my pillows. I think some of you need to go to therapy. Eno! Thank you so much for 5K. Thank you. But how are you feeling today, Council? After making so many hard judgments? Deciding whether or not one is to be forgiven or not forgiven? And I wonder, did any of you have a confession in here today? But don't say which one it was. My Uma Musume one. Yes, I did see one. I was going to mention that. There was an Uma Musume one, and it said, my horse did bad. And I yelled at it and called it a failure. Unforgivable. Unforgivable. You need therapy. I think the one that has stuck with me the most and concerned me the most was the one about peeing in the kitchen trash can. And then how many of the council members was like, sometimes the voices just tell you to do that. And I'm just... Are you often having thoughts about peeing in things around the house? Is this a common occurrence? It concerns me. The voices would be like that. Oh my gosh. I just can't believe it. With a trash can in your own house? I'm just imagining going to sleep and then waking up and it's like your whole kitchen smells like yucko. Today, exactly a year ago, I started watching you, Pillow. What? How do you know that it was today? Thank you, Point. Thank you. I'm happy that you've been here for so long. Thank you. Oh, Council. I'm happy that you had been here with me today. I know that I read all the confessions. I went through and had to pick them. And just because I didn't include yours doesn't mean I didn't want to. I had to specifically pick some 20 of them. 12 months! Huh? You gotta understand, my horse got an ailment right before the final race. She's supposed to win, but she let me down? Unforgivable. And thank you for 12 months. You're 1 year old. Thank you. Thank you, Yoshi. Kiwi, kiwi. No, don't say understandable. If your child got sick before their final test, would you call them a failure? No. Evil. Cyber, thank you. Evil. Be nice to horse. Horse is not always so smart, horse. Scooter! Thank you so much for 15 months. Oh, my toe is bleeding. It's okay. It's okay. That just happens sometimes. It was a pink-haired girl, I know. I remember I read your confession. But there was some confessions that just sounded very sad. And I'm quite worried for those pillows. I didn't want to bring them here today, the sad ones, because I would have felt bad having the council decide whether or not you being sad was a sin or not. I feel like that would have just been mean. I feel like that just would have been mean. So I didn't want to do that. But I hope it brings you solace or comfort knowing that I read them. So it wasn't to the void. But thank you, my council, for joining me today and judging whether or not sinners were to be forgiven or if their sins were unforgivable. I hope that you continue on, and if you were voted no, you are not forgiven, that you work to better yourself. And I believe in you. I believe that you can get better. That you can earn redemption. Now then. Stop flirting on people for fun. That one was gross. Ew! Now then. I'm going to go fix my bleeding toe. Going to go fix my bleeding toe. Also, to those that said that they like girls other than Pillow, why are you trying to hurt me? You just want to see me suffer? Anonymously just telling me that you like someone else? You just hate me. You just think it's fun to go and be like, ha 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 ha, I like someone else. You hate me. No reason to do that other than to be mean to me. You just did it to be mean to me. You wanted to see me cry. You just came in there and you said, oh, I like someone else. Oh, and Pillow's not the only girl I like. You only do that to be mean. Well, it worked. You made me cry. Fine. I'm not gonna go cry or anything. I'm just gonna... Don't drive over the speed limit.